Welcome to our travel-themed English episode. Today, Jake and Priya are meeting at a cozy cafe to brainstorm their next vacation. Jake, when you think about planning a trip, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
For me, the first thing is relaxation, so I'm going to suggest a beach destination. I picture myself lying under the sun with a good book. Priya, do you prefer something more active for your holiday?
I definitely do. I love exploring and hiking, so I might suggest the mountains. Before we dive into destinations, let's talk about why discussing travel plans is great for practicing the future tense in English.
Absolutely. When we make plans, we naturally use phrases like, we'll probably go hiking, or I'm going to book a hotel. These future forms help us express intentions and possibilities.
That's a great point. As we continue, let's pay attention to how we use these future structures while considering our vacation options. Let's compare our top choices. Jake, what makes the beach so appealing to you as a vacation spot?
I love the idea of swimming, relaxing, and maybe trying some water sports. If we go to the beach, we'll need sunscreen and probably some good beach reads. Priya, what draws you to the mountains?
The mountains offer adventure and fresh air perfect if you like hiking or exploring nature. Plus, if the weather is nice, we'll go hiking every day. How do you feel about mixing both options?
That's interesting. We might visit the mountains for a few days, then relax at the beach. This way, we satisfy both our interests. Planning a mixed trip means thinking carefully about transportation and timing.
Now that we're considering destinations, let's go over some essential travel vocabulary. For starters, we'll probably need to book a hotel. What other important words should listeners know?
Good question. Words like flight, luggage, and passport come up all the time. For example, if we fly to the coast, we'll have to pack our luggage carefully and remember our passports if we go abroad.
Exactly, and it's helpful to know phrases like I'm going to reserve a room or let's check flight times. These expressions make planning much smoother.
Listeners should also practice asking about amenities. Does the hotel have Wi-Fi? Or is breakfast included? These questions are practical in real-life travel situations.
Let's highlight how we use future tenses in our conversation. Jake, can you give an example of using going to when making plans?
Sure. I'm going to search for affordable hotels near the beach. Going to shows that I've already decided and might even have started looking online. Priya, how about will and might?
Great question. Will is often used for quick decisions or predictions, like we'll get there late if we leave after lunch. Might expresses possibility, we might visit a museum if it rains.
Exactly. These subtle differences help you sound more natural and flexible when talking about future plans.
A key grammar point in travel planning is the first conditional. For example, if the weather is sunny, we'll go sightseeing. Jake, can you share another example?
Sure. If we leave early, we'll have more time to explore. This structure is great for making plans based on possible situations, and it's very common when traveling.
It's like making a backup plan. For instance, if our flight gets delayed, we'll call the hotel to let them know. This helps avoid problems during our trip.
That's right. Using the first conditional makes your speech more dynamic and shows you're prepared for different outcomes.
Travel planning involves a lot of suggestions. For example, you might say, what about visiting the old town? Or, let's check the local food markets. Jake, how do you respond to suggestions?
I usually respond with phrases like, that sounds perfect. Or, I'm not sure. Maybe we could try something else. It's important to be polite and show interest, even if you have a different idea.
Absolutely, and being able to suggest alternatives keeps the conversation friendly. For example, instead of hiking, we could go cycling if the weather changes.
Exactly. These skills help you communicate clearly and make group decisions without misunderstandings.
Let's talk about how weather affects travel plans. We often use the first conditional here. If it rains, we'll stay indoors. Jake, how do you handle uncertain weather when planning a trip?
I always check the forecast and plan backup activities. For instance, if it's too windy for the beach, we might visit a museum instead. Having options makes the trip less stressful.
That's a smart approach. It's also helpful to pack for different conditions like bringing a rain jacket just in case. Preparing for various scenarios is key to enjoying your vacation.
Exactly. And discussing these possibilities in English helps you build confidence for real-life travel situations.
Selecting transportation is a big part of travel planning. Should we fly, take a train, or rent a car? Each option has pros and cons. Jake, how do you decide?
I consider cost, convenience, and the experience. For example, if we take the train, we'll see more of the countryside. But if we fly, we'll arrive faster and have more time at our destination.
That's true. Renting a car offers flexibility, but it can be expensive. If we split the cost, it might be more affordable. It's also a great way to reach remote places.
Exactly. Discussing these choices in English helps you practice comparing options and using conditional sentences. If we rent a car, we'll travel at our own pace.
Travel doesn't always go as planned. Sometimes flights are canceled or luggage gets lost. Jake, what would you do if your suitcase didn't arrive?
I'd report it at the airport and ask for help. Using English, I might say, "My luggage is missing. Could you help me locate it?" Practicing these phrases in advance can make stressful situations easier.
That's a great tip. It's also useful to know how to rebook flights or find last-minute hotels. For example, if our flight is canceled, we'll look for the next available one online.
Exactly. Being prepared with the right vocabulary and conditional sentences helps you solve problems quickly and keeps your trip enjoyable.
To wrap up our episode, let's try a travel planning challenge. Listeners, imagine you're planning a trip. Use future tenses and conditional sentences. Where will you go? What will you do if the weather changes?
For example, if I visit Paris, I'll see the Eiffel Tower. If it rains, I'll visit museums instead. This exercise helps you practice real-life English and boosts your confidence.
Great examples. Remember to use travel vocabulary like book a hotel, pack your luggage, or check flight times. Practicing these phrases prepares you for real conversations.
Thanks for joining us today. Keep practicing, and soon you'll be ready to plan your next adventure in English with ease.